Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Millie and I'm pretty much 6 months into recovery from anorexia nervosa. And if you haven't seen by the title, today we're just going to be talking about coping with an eating disorder whilst at university. For those who don't know, I graduated from my integrated master's degree in June or July of this year, but I feel like I had some good times and some bad times at uni. This major relapse started in the midst of all of that, so I feel like I've got some advice that I can share, regarding how to kind of cope as someone who's kind of done it and come out the other side. So hopefully you'll find something helpful here. But yeah, I know how hard it is to be struggling with either in a relapse or attempting recovery whilst you're trying to study as well. Going to uni definitely could, for many people, be that trigger point. If you've got that genetic predisposition to have an eating disorder and you go to university, I mean, it's a very difficult time. There is a loss of control. So for some people it could be kind of latching onto something that they control when the rest of their life feels so chaotic with this massive shift of who you are. Like, it's pure chaos, let's be honest. The first term at uni, no one knows what they're doing, and for someone who's got that genetic predisposition, it can be so easy to turn to other ways of control, which might be food, for example, and it might be the first time they've been able to control their own food, which can add to fuel to the fire, really. And having an eating disorder at university can have a huge impact on you, because you might then not want to go out with the friends. You might struggle to make friends because a lot of social events in that first year of university, unfortunately, revolve around the drinking culture that we have here in the UK in particular, let's be honest. But also food. It's so common in that first term to be like, oh, I can't be asked to cook, let's get a takeaway. So it can be really isolating if you're struggling with food. And I want people to know how impactful this can be on someone's experience and how that can so easily feed into other mental health disorders like depression, then impacting on your studies. I mean, if you're struggling with food, how are you going to focus on your uni degree? You're not. It's hard to focus in lectures. It's hard to stay on top of the bloody work when all you can think about is the food you won't allow yourself and how you have to exercise X amount. I just wanted to specifically talk about final year because this is when my eating disorder relapse really kicked in. So if you're not in final year yet, I think it's really important that you get those coping mechanisms in place, because it's such a difficult year for everyone, but also because you're graduating and again you lose that certainty and it does again feel very out of control because everyone will be asking you, what are you going to do when you graduate? And you might not know, and you might just then cling on to food as a way to control it. Final year is a difficult one if you're struggling in any way, definitely. So let's actually talk about how you can kind of support yourself through an eating disorder relapse at university. I think the first thing you need to do is recognise it. You need to recognise what's happening, and that can be really hard, but if you're watching this video, it's a sign. And now we need to put support in place. My recommendation for this would be, if you are at university and you're close with your tutor, open up to them. And then if, for example, things are impacting your uni work, you can then talk to your tutor about it. So I'd recommend, if you're not registered with a GP in your university town or city, register with a GP and get medical monitoring going on. Get your bloods done, get your ECG done. That's imperative. You need to monitor those physical risks. I'd also say, although it's really hard with eating disorders, keep going to your lectures, because not only is that going to really help you with the actual university aspect of keeping on top of your work, but the social aspect, because you don't have to eat at a lecture, but you can turn to the person next to you and make a comment on what's being said. Honestly, the amount of times I would just turn to this random person next to me and be like, it's hard to do it because you're like, oh, what if no one want to talk to me. I'm someone who's also had CBT for social anxiety, so I appreciate just how challenging that can be on its own. But everyone there will be feeling the same, and everyone will want to be making friends, and I think it's such a good chance to do that without the pressure of food being involved. I'd also really encourage you to reach out to like wellbeing resources. So if your university's got a counselling and wellbeing service, get your name on that list. It's a long waiting list, and the sooner you get on it, the better. I'll leave a link in the description below, a couple of resources that not only I've used myself, but I've sent to clients. So let's think now about recovering in uni, because I think there's a couple of particular barriers that you might face here. I think being alone from your previous support network can be really challenging. My number one tip is keep yourself accountable, no matter how that is, whether that's texting friends or family who know back home, sending pictures of your meals to them, or even just taking photos of your meals, but whatever that looks like to you. You need to be in charge. You need to be the committed one to the recovery. You have to take charge over this, whether you're on your own at uni or whether you're staying at home with mum and dad or whoever. You still need to hold yourself accountable wherever you are, reminding yourself why you're doing this, why are you recovering? You know, it's your body at the end of the day. Being brutally honest, like, do you want to die now? Do you really, really want that? If the answer's no, then you need to eat. That's the medicine. I know it's not that easy. You know, I'm doing it myself. I understand it's not that easy. But that is the long and short of it. You can't live a full life in malnutrition, and you don't have to be underweight to be malnourished. If you're struggling with an eating disorder anyway, you're probably malnourished. Dealing with other students, because good God, can they be triggering? And you're not alone. I feel, God, the amount of times I just wanted to really chop someone's head off. And I think again in these times it's reaching out to people who get it. So whether that's beat, or you know, you can always go to friends who do understand, or the peer support that we have in our recovery communities online, because we all understand as well. Maybe they just don't understand what they're doing is unhealthy, but it is. It's always unhealthy to restrict or engage in those kinds of behaviours. Be gentle with yourself, because understandably the rest of the day is going to be challenging. But it's really important that you still eat, but I understand it might not be possible after that to push yourself as much as you would if you weren't triggered. But it's important to keep going, but be gentle with yourself. And maybe take some breathing space. Say, okay, I just need to take a few moments, or just take yourself, if you're out, for example, take yourself into the bathroom and calm down. It doesn't matter what Sally over there is doing, because food is your medicine. You are not Sally. You are not a normal person. You are recovering from a life-threatening illness, and food is your medicine, okay? So Sally can eat whatever the fuck Sally's eating. You need to be doing what you need to be doing to get better. Your eating disorder is going to latch onto this, and it's going to say, look, Sally's only doing this, this and that. You know, you can tell it to, you can use my favourite and just say, F off, because you know, you not eating disorder, but the real you will know that you need to carry on. And I wanted to wrap up by thinking about how you can help somebody else who might be struggling. I've got a couple of different tips here. So first of all, just know that everyone with an eating disorder is going to be different. Different things are going to trigger them, different things are going to help them. Something that might help one person could be somebody else's worst trigger. So do not go into this making any assumptions that you understand, and actually ask the person who's struggling, hey, what's going to make this worse for you and what's going to help? And be open. Listen with curiosity and not judgment. If someone has opened up to you about their eating disorder, they trust you from the bottom of their heart. Be compassionate with them though. It is good God, I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. This is, you know, for someone who's recovering from an eating disorder, it's probably going to be the hardest thing they ever have to do in their life. You're coming back from the grips of death, from a disorder that could have killed you, that people don't understand because they just think, oh, just eat a burger. And I want you to know it's not that bloody easy. If it was, we'd all be recovered by now, and, you know, people wouldn't be dying. And do not push them, because the more you push someone and you try and push them into eating, the more they're going to shelter themselves off, the more they're going to isolate themselves, the more secretive they're going to become about their behaviours. So kind of like keep it in your mind, like be aware, but just be compassionate. I think the best way to help someone to eat more is to be encouraging, but not forceful. Things that I think absolutely at no point would be helpful is to discuss your own diet, your own weight, your own body image, your own relationship with food. I would really recommend that you don't try and empathise with someone at this point by talking about your own struggles, because eating disorders are competitive and you might be adding fuel to the fire. And empathise in a way of, you know, it is difficult, but I'm here for you, rather than, I understand what you're going through because I did this, this and this. Yeah, that, I don't think for anyone that would be helpful. I think my biggest takeaways from coping at university with an eating disorder is be prepared even before you go, register with a GP, write down your reasons for recovery, and resources that I recommend are all in the description below. You are incredible. This might be the hardest thing you ever do in your life, and you can do this. I really do believe in that everyone is capable of a full recovery. So I feel like I rambled a lot here. This is the first kind of chatty video that I've ever filmed. So if I've gone on and on and on and none of this was helpful, I'm really sorry. But hopefully you can take something away. Take care of yourselves. Go and do some self-care. As crisis team would say, go and have a cup of tea and a bath, and I'll catch you in my next one.